Hey guys, it's Shayna from Super Simple Nutrition, the nutritionist here at Super Simple Nutrition Hacks. And we are going to make a super awesome soup right now that I literally love. It's actually been a while since I made it, so I'm excited that we voted and chose it because now it's incentive for me to make it. And I'm even serving it tonight, which I don't know if I normally... I think I have served it on Shabbos before, but anyways. Okay, so I prepped a little bit because I was thinking, like, what's the most annoying thing? I think is normally when I, like, pop out of screen just to, like, wash vegetables. So I didn't, like, do a ton of prepping, but I did wash stuff so it's ready. So let me just flip the camera on so you can see what we're going to use, so you can see how easy it is. 1 second. Here we go. Okay. Here are my onions. My onion cut in half. Here are the mushrooms. Here's my celery. Here's my cilantro. That's pretty. Oh, and of course the kale. And check this out. Don't mind my messy kitchen. Look what I have here. These are the lentils. I put them to soak in water last night, and I'll tell you why. Oh, look, my cutting board broke. Anyways, okay. So the lentils I soak because lentils, like all grains, and actually even nuts and seeds, they have anti-nutrients in them that makes it difficult to digest. The most, like, the ones that have the most of that stuff is beans, which is why so many people get musical from beans, shall we say. But if you soak it, especially like 24 hours, 12 is good, especially for lentils don't have very much of it. But beans have a lot. But lentils still have it, and it's like so easy to do, especially because I knew in advance I was doing this, so I just soaked them. And for the soup, you can either just cook them right in the soup, or you can cook it separately and add it after. I'm going to cook it separately because I don't always like it with lentils, but my son loves it with lentils, so I'm just going to like give him a bunch. But you can do either or. I also honestly get a little more annoyed cooking it with the lentils in the soup because it makes everything take longer to cook because all the vegetables cook faster than the lentils do. So that being said, actually, if you want, I'll show you such exciting things. So first, here, I'm going to uncover it again so you can see. Let's see the camera. I mean the lentils. See, like, little... First of all, when I poured in the lentils, it was not this full. It maybe was like till here. But because it's soaked overnight, it absorbed the water, which is going to make it cook faster. And those bubbles are the anti-nutrients basically rising to the surface. And so I'm actually not just going to cook it like that. I'm going to pour it through the strainer and rinse it and then cook it. So you can watch if you look at that, the little whatever. This is not high tech. It's okay. The bar from my drain here. So you can get a bigger one of these. Honestly, it's like, I don't know. I find the small one works fine. If I find a bigger one, I'll get a bigger one. But okay, so can you see that? Can you see? I guess you can imagine, right? I'm just rinsing it in there. Now, actually, snap. I should have got a pot out. Okay, so I'm going to put it... Okay, you can hear everything falling out of my cupboards. But okay, so I just rinsed it, and I'm dumping it right into this pot, and I'm going to just do that for the rest of these. I guess if I had a bigger strainer, this would go faster, but whatever. It doesn't really... Also, if you don't want to cook all the lentils at once, you can freeze them, like, once you soak them, and then they cook really fast, and they're ready for you. You don't have to, like, always be thinking in advance. Like, I don't know. I don't always think in advance, like, if I want to make lentils the next day, but every time I do this, if I don't cook them all, I'll freeze them like this. Or, if you can cook them all, which is what I'm going to do now, and then whatever we don't eat in, like, 2 days, I'll just freeze cooked, and then I can add that to things as well. And then I will feel like I'm really on top of things. Okay, so now these are all rinsed, my lentils. I like these little French ones, but honestly, I would just use whatever I have. I just have these ones because that's what Trader Joe's has. Okay, so here it is in my pot, and I'm just going to add... Here, should I flip the camera now again? Let's see if I can do it. You think that filming yourself is so easy. Okay, there's my water filter. Oh, snap. You know what? I know a lot of people were asking about water filters, so I will do a talk on that soon. It's just so many things on my list of things I want to do. Okay, so I'm just adding a bunch of water. And I'm gonna start this first because it takes longer. Actually, yeah, I'll put it right there, that's fine. And I'm gonna put the fire on high. Let's see, there it goes. And a little bit of salt. Here's my salt. It just makes it cook faster. And the truth is, okay, let me flip it again. The truth is that if I had some, what's it called? Some seaweed, I would actually put a little piece of seaweed in there. What do I mean right now? Nothing. Oh no, the top, that's what I mean. Okay. I would put a little piece of seaweed because seaweed also helps break down the sugars inside of beans and lentils. So again, lentils are much more gentle, which is why you see, anyways, generally speaking, like people are not so sensitive to it. Like it doesn't make people get an upset stomach the way beans do. Okay, but here we go. So my onion, I just took the skin off, and then I was gonna pre-chop it, and then I was like, no, I'll chop it with you guys. So it really doesn't matter how you chop it. If you are a person that likes big chunks in your soup, then you can cut it bigger. And if you're a person that likes it with smaller chunks, you can cut it smaller. It'll work regardless. Okay, so I wanted to tell you guys what makes this soup so awesome. So number one, it improves circulation. Why, Shayna? Why does it improve circulation? Well, I'll tell you. So, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, but one of them that's really interesting is that in general, eating warm things will actually improve circulation. And so as a soup, generally we eat it hot. And also if it has like onions are spicy, hot like tasting things also improve circulation. And so that's great. And okay, so there's our onions. Maybe I'll start them in the pot. I want to see my pot. My big pot. Here we go. Okay, here's the pot. Currently empty. And that's clean enough. I mean, oh, what's that? Okay, it's a little fuzz. But it's pretty clean. So I'm using, this is my favorite olive oil. If you have another one, I'm going to say about 4 tablespoons, but whatever, it doesn't matter. You could use, I also have avocado oil. You could use that. I also have 2 kinds of coconut oil. You could do any kind. If you like the taste of coconut, it wouldn't taste bad. It would just be like, it would taste coconutty. So I'm not really so into coconut in this soup in particular. Okay, here's my celery. Celery is something I am a stickler to buy organic. I won't buy celery if it's not organic because celery is super duper duper sprayed. Other things like avocado, I'm not like a stickler about. I'm just cutting off the ends. But I'm leaving the leaves because celery leaves give a lot of flavor. And celery also is really great for digestion because you know it has like all that fiber. Okay, see these like little brown stuff? I'm taking it off because I'm showing it to you, but honestly, it doesn't matter at all, especially in a soup. Like I guess unless, I mean if it's really funky then take it off, but in a soup it just doesn't matter. So okay, so here I'm just gonna slice it into, oh wait, did I put the fire on? I forgot to put the fire on. Hey Gabby! Okay, so here's the, flip it again. Okay, turn the fire on. I have my oil in there. I'm putting it on like a medium high, like a 4.5, 5, whatever. And I'm gonna pour in my onions first that I just chopped. Woo, how satisfying. It feels like a real cooking show. Okay, and then I'm gonna camera. And we can talk while I chop the celery. Also, you know what? As the onions are cooking, I'm gonna salt them a little bit. So I don't know how much I'm gonna pour. Probably like a teaspoon. It doesn't really matter. And I have it typed up. It's already, the recipe for this is already typed up on my blog. And you can have that sent to you from I'll put the link if you want it sent to your email, and I'll also like include it in the, what's it called? Like in this post above the video once we're done. So you could also just find it in the group if you prefer that. I just have learned that for people that when they find a recipe that they like, I think it works way better when they have it in their inbox because I get a lot of messages from people like, oh, like I want to make that, you know, cookies or that other dip that you made, that tahina, and I can't find it in the group. So now I always like offer, why don't you just get it sent to your email and then you can just check your email. Okay, so little pieces of shallots. Okay, so now I'm just gonna dump this celery into, here we go. Just dumping it in. Goodbye, celery. See it in there. Okay, I'm also, you know what? Because I want you guys to see it. I'm gonna cook it on high. I wouldn't necessarily cook it on high. Just add a little more salt to it. And this is the foundation flavor, because this is not a meat soup. Like, there's no meat in it and there's no dairy in it. And so sometimes you may have noticed that it can be easy for those soups to be kind of bland. Oh, Danny, hey! My friend Danny is watching. Hi, Danny. Who I haven't seen in years, but I love her. You know that sometimes when you make those kinds of soups like that are parve, they're kind of bland and or like just like kind of like flat tasting. And especially if you don't use a bouillon cube, which I would definitely recommend that you don't use a bouillon cube, because those have MSG, which is a neurotoxin. And so we don't want that. Hey, Sarah. I actually saw this ridiculous and funny little video going around Facebook that was like, it was supposed to be like debunking myths, and one of them was like, MSG is not a neurotoxin. And I was like, not true. That's a lie. It is definitely a neurotoxin and causes like brain tumors in mice. And no, there have not been human studies of that, because that would not be ethical. But for me, knowing that it causes tumors in mice is enough that I'm just not interested in using it. So it also makes you really, really hungry, and for a lot of people gives them like crazy headaches, my mom included. For me, I don't notice it. Like when I accidentally have it like in Chinese food, like most Chinese food uses it unless you explicitly say don't put it in. It's delicious. It's really amazing. I get why people want to use it. But it's a brain toxin, so I don't. Okay, anyways, what I was saying though is if you start your parve soup with, I'm going to turn it down a little now, to like 5. With onions and celery sauteing with plenty of salt. And the other thing, I'm going to let it saute a little more first. But the other magical ingredient is this stuff. If you make a parve soup and you saute onions and celery, and you put this, which is from Costco, and you can also get it at Trader Joe's under the name 21 Seasoning Salute. It's exactly the same thing. If you want, I can tell you what's in it. It's organic onion, garlic, carrot, pepper, bell pepper, tomato, orange peel, parsley, whatever. It has a million things that just, when they mix together, it tastes really good. And honestly, for any of you who don't keep kosher, or didn't at some point, it really reminds me of... Oh, you're having trouble hearing. Sorry. Okay, I'll hold it closer. And yes, I will post the recipe's actually already posted in the group with a link to get it sent to you. And when I'm done with this, I'll post it above the post. Like where it says right now, it just says like, oh, we're making soup. I'll also post the recipe there. But you guys remember, those of you who don't keep kosher or didn't, Top Ramen, not the kosher version, like the actual brand Top Ramen or whatever it was called, that was like so good. So number one, that has MSG, so that's why it tastes so good. Even though it's like cheap and there's nothing real in it, that should be making it taste so good. But it also, I think they use like celery root seed or something like that. And this is not going to taste like Top Ramen, but I think there's something in here that always reminds me of Top Ramen. Maybe it's the coriander, but I really don't think so. I think it's the celery seed or something. I don't know. It's an awesome thing that I haven't tasted for like 25 years. No, not 25. I don't know, 20 years. Because even before I kept kosher, I didn't really eat that anymore because it's just so bad for you. Anyways, okay, so that's the celery. And while the vegetables are still sauteing, I'm gonna just slice up the mushrooms, which again, you could do like any size you want. I like it bite-sized. It's just kind of like fun to eat that way. And interestingly, the mushrooms add a lot of flavor. What I find so interesting is that mushrooms are so bland, plain, like before you cook them, but when you cook them, they have a lot of flavor. Also, Mirel, hi, where are you from? Oh, I was like, what's that sound? It's the lentils. Want to see what's happening? So if you make your lentils and you put it on high and you forget about it, this will happen. Like me. So now that it's cooking, I can turn it, now that it's on high, I'm just going to turn it on low so it can keep going. So there's our lentils. And in here is our onions and celery. They're looking good. They're getting a little softer. Okay. Now that they're kind of looking better, I'm going to add in this. You never heard of that spice combo. I know, it's a blend of 21 organic spices and ingredients from around the world. It's really good. I love it. I'm sure that like other spice, and I'm heavy-handed with this. Can you see that? I'm not like, it's not like a pinch, you know? I don't know if that's a full tablespoon, but it's a lot. So now, oh, I wish you could smell it. It smells so good. It reminds me of the smell of top ramen. Which, of course, like my parents would never make for me, but my awesome stepmom ran a daycare in her house before she was my stepmom, when she and my dad were dating. And if I was ever lucky enough to still be there at 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock snack was sometimes top ramen, and I loved it. I was like, let me stay and eat this. Anyways, okay, so the mushrooms add a lot of flavor. At times, I have, that's not good. Okay. I have forgotten them, and it still comes out really good. But especially if you're a person that likes mushrooms, it does a lot. So let's talk, I told you I was going to tell you about what it's good for, not just my wax poetic about my memories, but look, I made notes for you. Okay, so why would this soup prevent birth defects? Good question. And that's mostly because of the kale that we're going to add in at the end. Here, I'm just going to dump this. See, I'm going to check it. Yeah, I'm going to dump it in and give it a little stir. I'll bring the camera next time I dump it in. You're hearing everything fall out of my kitchen thing. Okay, but the reason is because spinal bifida, for example, is one of the most avoidable but used to be or can be common birth defects, and it's caused by not having, when the mother early in the pregnancy, like very early, like before she knows she's pregnant type of early, if she doesn't have enough folate, and most people are more familiar with the term folic acid. I feel like they're so far away today. I don't know what that's about. I'm going to see if I can prop you up on the blender instead of the wall. Is that better? Do you see still the thing? I think you can. Most people are more familiar with the term folic acid, but folic acid is actually the precursor to folate. When you take folic acid as like a chemical, which basically, if you're getting it from food, it's already folate. And if you're taking it from a pill and it's synthetic, it's probably folic acid, which I don't recommend because there's a lot of people in the world that can't transform it. They can't turn it into folate. You have to do that inside your body. But the good news is you can just take it as folate, or you can just eat a lot of green things, and that builds up the folate, like stores inside of your body. So, oh, sorry, my husband called. He was watching a minute ago, then he popped off and forgot that I'm live. What was I going to say? The folate, yeah, that the folate stores are in your body, so that at that very early time in pregnancy, you have what you need and what the baby needs in order to not get a spinal bifida. And kale is one of the best sources of that. Okay, let me show you guys. Okay, so here's the pot, everything's sauteing. Let's throw in those mushrooms and give it a stir. So now, see it in there? So the onions and the mushrooms and the celery and the spices are all mixing together. And I'm actually now going to turn it on a little lower flame, like 4 maybe, I don't know. Because you can't, I don't know if you can see it, but like it's a little sticking to the bottom. Like, can you see it's a little sticky on my thing? So I could add more oil. Maybe I will. I'll add a little more. Next time I'll add avocado oil. Why not? See, that's a really good one. And yes, good oils are a little bit more expensive, but if you know where to get it, like this one at Costco was like maybe $8 or $9, and literally that same oil but half the size is the same price at Trader Joe's. So way better to get it at Costco. Okay, so I'm gonna let that saute for another minute, and I'm just gonna cut up the cilantro. And where's my cutting board? Here it is. And cilantro is also a really great form of folate. And cilantro is also great because it can be, you can have that raw. I don't recommend kale raw. I know like everyone's like, oh, kale juice and kale smoothie and kale salad. And like number one, all that stuff tastes disgusting. So why would you do it? But number two, it's like a brown piece of a lettuce. Not a bug, just like a kind of meh one. Number two, it's really hard to digest, so I don't recommend it raw, but cooked it's great. Okay, so here's my, I think my husband, hi Smiley. My son is home.
A bootstrap!
You got a what?
A bootstrap.
That is so cool, you got a bootstrap. You want to say hi? So this is the cilantro, yes.
Do you want to have a bite of it?
Do I want to have a bite of it? Oh, maybe later, okay? I'm just cooking right now.
Can I do?
You want me to hold it for later? For you?
Yeah.
It's candy, but I don't want.
But can I see the whole thing?
Yeah, you can eat the whole thing. That's so sweet of you that you were sharing with me. Okay. So
I want to hear some more shy.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Shy.
Okay, so you can save it. Want to say hi?
Hi.
Okay. Cilantro. Oh, sorry, no. Cilantro is not hard to digest at all. Kale is. Cilantro is great because it's also dark green and a really great source of folate. But it's totally fine to have raw, along with like all other raw herbs. Yeah, can you take him out of the screen, please? Thank you. So yeah, all like raw herbs, like basil is also great, and parsley is really great. Okay, so I'm gonna put in just a little bit of this right now, and save the rest to add like right at the end. But also, here's my bag of kale. Unfortunately, not organic, but I really like the curly kale better. And I wasn't in the mood to drive all the way to Whole Foods to get the organic curly kale. And at Trader Joe's, curly kale you can only get not organic. Okay, so there's our veggies sauteing away. Let's put a little bit of this in there. And give it a stir. Lots of stuff on my kitchen right now. Okay, so I'm gonna stir that in for a second. And basically the difference of if you want this soup to be, if you want this soup to be hearty or if you just want it to be light, is basically just adding in the lentils. So that's the only difference. Can you please walk out of the kitchen? You love when your family ignores you. Okay. So now, just throw in like a half a bag. I'm just afraid if I pour that it's just going to all dump in. But I'll just pour. Okay, so here's like my approximately half a bag of kale. And now we just need to add water. I just need a bucket for water. Let's see. And then we're just going to let it simmer for... I'm not sure how long, to be honest. No, I do know. I'm just distracted because I'm getting water. But okay, we're gonna let it simmer for about 30 minutes, or until like the kale feels soft enough. So I'm just there we go. See? Oh. Okay, so just pouring the water in, and in like 30 minutes. Honestly, it could be even faster. It could be 20, but I find that if you do shorter than 20, like if you do shorter than 20 minutes, it just like doesn't, the kale like looks good because it's still bright green, but it's still too tough. It's still too hard to break down. Okay, so I'm gonna, okay, so you can add more water. For me, that's enough because the kale's gonna like kind of flatten, and I like it kind of thicker. I like having it more hearty. But I could easily put water like up to there, and that would be fine too. I'll tell you what else. And then when we're done, hold on, here's those lentils still cooking away. Can you see them? Anyways, when we're done, when I serve it, and I'll take a picture when I'm done, I'm going to put in the fresh cilantro on top and the lentils for my son. For me, I prefer it without the lentils. And then sometimes, and I'll probably do this today, I add a little bit of a really good quality organic soy sauce. Usually I use tamari. This one is also really good though. It's called shoyu. This one's actually even raw, so it still has the minerals, the enzymes in it, so that's really cool. Of that, and of a little bit of toasted sesame oil. And that makes it really good too. So, oh, I didn't explain how it would reduce chocolate craving. So now that it's on, I'm going to cook it on high until I hear it like boiling, and then I'll turn it down. Why would it reduce chocolate craving? That's a really good question, right? And I'm not saying you can't have chocolate. Obviously, you can have chocolate, and I have plenty of how to make chocolate recipes in here, so I'm definitely not anti-chocolate. But if you feel like you're one of those people that just like craves chocolate like a crazy person, hold on. My son is watching TV and it's totally distracting me. I can't. Okay, anyways, I have to leave it because I don't know where my husband went. But that chocolate, one of the main things that we crave from chocolate is the mineral magnesium. And it's a relaxing mineral, and it also has iron. So cocoa, and specifically raw cacao even more, but cocoa has iron and magnesium, a lot of it. And that is one of the main things of why we crave it, right? So yeah, obviously it's sweet and delicious and we like that. But there's other things that are sweet and delicious that we don't crave the same way people like crave chocolate. And that's because we're looking for the magnesium and the iron in it. And dark green vegetables like kale and cilantro also are very rich in magnesium and in iron. Not as much iron, to be honest, but the magnesium, and that's the biggest part that we're craving in it. But they do have a good amount of iron. The darker, the better, of the kale, of the green. So the darker green vegetables will have more than the lighter green vegetables. So yeah, like kale will have more than a green cabbage, for example, something like that. And so that's why when you get those nutritional needs met, you'll stop going crazy for the chocolate, because a big part of what you're craving is those minerals. And when you get them, then you just don't have that craving, that need anymore. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys. Any more questions? As far as why I prefer it without the lentils, honestly, I find that I just feel better with like significantly less carbs, but lentils are a really, really healthy carb. They also have some protein in it. I know especially like vegans and vegetarians definitely would consider it a protein, and it does have protein, but it has significantly more carbohydrate than protein. And so for those of us that feel better, with less carbs, I just am happy to leave it out, and it still tastes really awesome. So there you go. Oh look, I found another piece of mushroom. I can throw that in. Anyways, I hope this was helpful and interesting and cool. And if you have any more questions, let me know, and I'm happy to answer them. And what else do I want to say? I was going to say how it increases metabolism. I'm also really excited because I know it's been a while. Oh, my husband's watching. Thanks, Hearty. But I told you guys a while ago that I wanted to make a class for you on like how to lose the last 20, or not last, but how to lose the 20 or 30 or even 40 pounds that you feel like are just like sticking no matter what. Which is a very, very frustrating experience for people when you feel like you've tried a bunch of things. And it's not working. So I am creating that class for you, and I'm just wanting to make it really good. Like, it's not going to be just me talking like I am right now. So that's hopefully coming soon. I really want to get it out in the next like week or two. So let's hope for that. And relating to metabolism with that is one of the reasons that this can increase your metabolism is that essentially your metabolism will be high when your body is in a state of abundance, right? So from a survival perspective, when you're not eating enough, or you're not eating enough foods that have nutrition, right? So you can like maybe stuffing yourself with like, you know, Pringles and Slurpees, and your metabolism could totally slow down even if you're eating like a crazy person from that, because even though there's a ton of turn that down, it's boiling too much. Even though there's a ton of calories, there's still no nutrition in that. And so your body will still experience that as a famine to an extent, right? Because it's like, hey, I'm not getting what I need, so it'll slow down your metabolism from that. The flip side of that is that when you, I'll answer about the hemp seeds. When you give your body an abundance of what it needs, then your body's like, oh, things are great. There's a lot of things that I need right now. I don't have to hold on to this excess weight. It's not necessary, right? So then it will be much easier to let it go. So when you have a soup like this that's like very hydrating and so high in minerals and so high in vitamins and so delicious, that like you want to eat it, that in itself revs up your metabolism. So that's really awesome. Gabby's asking, what about hemp seeds to the soup? You could try it. I've never done it. I'm not like super into hemp seeds. I'm not anti them. They're not like super important to me. A lot of times, I feel like, these like fads come out and people are like, oh, the best thing in the world is goji berries. No, the best thing in the world is quinoa. No, the best thing in the world is like a kale salad. Like, I don't think there's anything that's like so amazing. It's just a matter of like eating what's important. I mean, there are some things that really are better than others, but I'm just not super into hemp seeds, and I haven't seen traditional cultures use them. Meaning, I, as a base, really like to base my food options on, hey Leia, from what have people been using for thousands of years. Because we know that works. And the places where we run into trouble the most is when people try and come up with things that are better. Like, for example, thank God, and thanks to Mary Enig, who is a food activist who recently passed because she was really old. But it's now mostly common knowledge that margarine is horrible for you and you shouldn't use it. But when it first came out, it was a man-made thing that was designed because they're like, oh, it's for sure better than butter. And we can do better than nature. And it's better for your heart. And it's better for your body. And like the American Heart Association put their big stamp on it, just like they still put their stamp on like fruit juice, which is like full of sugar and like is a disaster for pretty much every illness. So I'm very unimpressed by like new cool things and much more of like what's been working for thousands of years. And so I'm not really honestly so familiar with this, like the history of hemp seeds, but I've never run across like a journal or a study that mentions like the native peoples of any area that were eating hemp seeds. I could be wrong, and if you have a study or you're familiar with that, like please enlighten me. But it was certainly not a staple in any way, the way that corn was, or grain, or meat, or dairy, or vegetables. Like, it wasn't there, or, even, some tribes in Africa, like, were very, very carbohydrate-based, but not grains. They did, like, all tubers, so, like, potatoes and sweet potatoes and those things in that family, and they were also super healthy. So, that's kind of my, just, like, I don't know, honestly, a ton about hemp seeds, and I'm not, like, super interested. But I'm always interested, because, like, I'm always trying to be open-minded. I'll learn something that will change my mind, maybe. But that's kind of my stance with that. So, I want to check on the soup, see how it's doing. Okay. See, it's boiling like crazy. I just didn't notice I was talking to you. So, because it's boiling, can you see the steam? So, now I'm going to turn it down. And, woo! Turn the light, can you see better? Or worse, let's see. So there it is in there. And yeah, if you have shiitake mushrooms, you could use shiitakes. Although honestly, I like the button mushrooms better in this. Okay, so I'm gonna let it cook a little longer. And then I'll have that. And again, when my son comes home, I'll give it to him with the lentils and just add that in. So I hope that was helpful and interesting. And if you're curious about how we can use foods to address any of your own health struggles or challenges or frustrations or just confusion, because I know there's like 1,000 different things out there like promoting the one way, it's like, no, you just have to do veganism. No, you only have to do keto. And those are like pretty much the opposite, or no, like grains are the best. No, grains are the worst. Whole grains will save your heart. Whole grains will cause inflammation, and you definitely will find that everywhere. And so I think that for a lot of people that are really intentionally trying to be proactive in their health with nutrition, even when you're trying, it can be hard because you're like, wait, there's so much conflicting information. And so I would be more than happy to help you. Please, like, feel free to reach out. You can message me or email me or call me, whatever you want. It's really awesome to be able to do this kind of work and see the kinds of results that I get. It's really just really cool. And it's really cool for my clients too. Obviously, I want to say, like, not just because, you know, obviously if you've been trying to have a baby and, you know, for several years and now you're finally pregnant and feeling really good, like, that's amazing. And if you've been, you know, having horrible digestion for years and now it's better after 2 weeks, like, that's amazing for people. And not in the sense of, like, stroking my own fire, although obviously I am, but that's so awesome for people. You know what I mean? Like, I think we've all been in that place. I've been in that place. Like, that's how I got into nutrition, is like that I was frustrated and I was struggling and I was asking my doctor, like, why is this happening? And why isn't it getting better? And what can we do? And, you know, like, obviously I love my doctor, but he doesn't know nutrition. He was like, I don't know what's happening. You can, like, take a Tylenol. I was getting all these, like, really crazy cramps all the time. And it wasn't until, like, I just wanted, this is before I went to nutrition school, started doing a whole bunch of research that I was like, oh, I think I'm deficient in this. And I just started, like, supplementing, but also, then I was still more into supplements. Now I, like, don't really do supplements and I would just increase the foods. But I was in the beginning of my journey. And after, like, months and months of just, like, struggling with this, I found a solution and it was so liberating for me. And so, obviously, I appreciate doing this work for myself, but also it's so like meaningful to see people that have been struggling for however long, whether that's digestion or fertility or PMS, or they're, you know, gosh, I've been trying to lose 20 pounds like for 5 years, or, you know, whatever it is, like, it can be so frustrating. But on the opposite side of that is it's so liberating when you make that progress and you reach that solution. And one of the things that I always like to say is, like, if you feel like it has to be easier, you're right. Like, I feel like with everything, there's always, like, a really hard way to do it and a way easier way to do it. And I'm always, like, pro, like, let's do the easy way. So yeah, so that's that. And so if that's you in any way, please, like, don't hesitate to reach out and ask. I'd be more than happy, you know, to help in any way I can. And I'll let you know. A lot of times people are like, can you help with this? And I'll tell you, like, if it's something that I can or can't. And if I can't, I also, like, thank God, have a good resource of, like, a good network of other practitioners that I trust and that I use for myself and my family, when I think, you know, for a ton of things, nutrition is always my first go-to. But a lot of times, maybe it's not the best modality, and I'll tell you. I'll say, like, oh, for that, I would do this, and I'll tell you, and I'll refer you. So anyways, I hope you all are doing fabulous, and sending you lots of love, and as soon as the soup is totally done, I will put it in a bowl, take a picture, and post it. Okay, all right, take care, bye.